The scanned the alien fleet floated in the cold silence of space. Dozens of warships, black and sharp, waited at the edge of a star system. Their commander, Admiral Valak, stared at the glowing symbols on the screen before him. Something unusual was drifting on the scanners. It was not an asteroid. It was not a broken satellite. It was a ship, long, gray, and shaped like a blade. A human battleship. The aliens had seen humans before. Weak, young, and reckless creatures. Their ships were always smaller, always fragile compared to the great fleets of the Korth Empire. But this one looked different. The sensors pulsed again. Strange readings appeared. Energy spikes. Unstable signals. Lines of data that made no sense to the computers. The science officer frowned, his voice unsteady. "Admiral, this human ship is wrong. The scans cannot read its weapons. The armor seems alive. The engines show power, then vanish, then show power again. It is like the ship is both there and not there." Valak narrowed his eyes. "A trick?" The officer swallowed. "I do not think so. I have never seen readings like this." The crew leaned forward, their scaled faces tense. A silence filled the command bridge. In deep space, silence was normal. But this silence carried weight like a storm waiting to break. "Bring us closer," Valak ordered. The fleet shifted. Dozens of alien ships turned their weapons toward the lone human battleship. Their scanners dug deeper, stripping away layer after layer of data. They expected weakness. They expected to find the soft heart of human technology. Instead, they found only more confusion. The ship was not transmitting any signal. No distress call, no code, not even the usual human chatter. It just floated dead and alive at the same time. Then, the sound came. Not a real sound, but a vibration through their comms. A slow pulse like a heartbeat. The crew froze. The pulse echoed again. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. The humans were silent, but their ship was speaking. The alien science officer shouted, "The signal is not random. It is scanning us back." Shock spread across the bridge. No one expected that. Humans were not supposed to have this power. Humans were not supposed to turn the scanners of the mighty Korth Empire back against them. The Admiral gripped the arm of his chair. His claws scratched the metal. Impossible. But the proof glowed on every screen. Their ships were being scanned. Their weapons, their shields, their crew numbers, all exposed. The human ship, silent and still, was peeling them open like fragile shells. One of the younger officers whispered, "Admiral, maybe we should retreat." "Silence," Valak growled. But inside, his own scales felt cold. He had fought humans before. They were stubborn, yes, but never powerful. Never like this. Why was this one ship alone? Why was it waiting here at the edge of their sector? A trap, a warning. The pulse grew stronger. Ba-dum, ba-dum, like a giant heart beating in the dark void. The alien fleet could almost feel it inside their bodies. Then the lights flickered, not on their ship, on the human battleship. For the first time it moved. The gray vessel rotated slowly, turning its front toward the alien fleet. Its surface seemed to shift like liquid metal, reshaping itself. Strange markings glowed faintly along its hull, symbols that no alien had ever seen before. The crew gasped. It was not just a warship. It was something else. Something built for more than war. "Admiral," the science officer said with a trembling voice, "this ship, it is not following known human designs. If this is human technology, then they have advanced faster than we believed. Much faster." Admiral Valak's tail twitched with unease. He thought of his orders, to dominate, to crush, to prove the Empire's strength. But deep inside he felt something he had not felt in decades. Fear. "Open a channel," he commanded. The comm officer obeyed. Static filled the bridge. A hiss, a whisper, then silence again. No words, no answer. The Admiral's throat grew dry. He looked at the gray ship drifting closer, slowly, patiently, as if it had all the time in the universe. One officer muttered, "Why does it not attack?" Another whispered, "Why does it not flee?" No one had an answer. The sensors beeped. New data flashed. The human ship was powering something deep inside its core. But it was not a weapon, not a shield. Something unknown. The science officer turned pale. "Admiral, I cannot identify it. The computer has no record. It is beyond our database." The pulse thundered louder. "Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum." The crew clutched their seats. The sound seemed to crawl into their minds, echoing in their very bones. Admiral Valak whispered to himself, "What are you humans? What have you created? Then the human ship sent a signal. A short burst of sound cutting through the static. 2 words. Do not. The crew stared in shock. The voice was clear, calm, and it spoke in their own language. Do not. The admiral froze. Do not what? Do not scan them? Do not attack? Do not approach? The alien fleet held its breath. The human ship did not explain. It simply went silent again, drifting, waiting, glowing faintly like a predator in the deep sea. The first scan had become a warning, and the aliens had no idea what kind of nightmare they had just touched. The warning, the alien fleet did not move. The words still echoed in their minds. Do not. 2 simple words, but spoken in a voice that was not human, not machine, and yet perfectly clear in their own language. The crew stared at their screens. The human battleship floated silently, glowing faintly as if it carried the heartbeat of a giant. It did not fire. It did not flee. It only watched. Admiral Valak sat stiff in his command chair. His scales prickled with unease. He had faced many enemies, but never had a single word stopped an entire fleet. Admiral, the calm officer whispered. The message came in pure Korth tongue. Not broken, not translated, pure. Valak's throat tightened. You mean the humans spoke as if they were born among us? Yes, Admiral. Perfect, even the accent. A low hiss spread across the crew. Impossible. Humans should not know their language. Even their best diplomats spoke with clumsy tongues. But this voice, it carried the weight of an elder, the sharpness of a native. The science officer leaned closer to his console. His claws tapped quickly. Admiral, the signal came from deep inside the human ship. Not a simple radio. Something more powerful. It bent around our defenses. It pierced every layer of our system as if walls did not exist, Valak growled. And still you cannot identify it? The officer looked pale. No, Admiral. It is beyond our technology. The fleet hung in the dark void, dozens of warships pointing at one silent battleship. Yet none dared fire. The young crew felt it in their bones. The weight of something older, stronger, hidden within that ship. The admiral's second in command, a hardened warrior with scars across his snout, finally spoke. Admiral, this is a bluff. Humans are weak. Their wars are desperate. Their ships are crude. They want us to fear shadows. His words were bold, but his voice shook. Valak did not reply. His eyes stayed fixed on the screens. He had studied humans for years. Reckless, yes, but also clever. Dangerous in ways the Empire never expected. And this ship felt like a trap made only for them. Admiral, the comm officer said again. More signals. Very faint. The screen lit up with fragments. Not words this time, images, flashes, a burning battlefield. Human soldiers, broken and bloody, standing against alien war machines. A planet scarred with fire. And then, something stranger. A black void swallowing fleets whole. The crew gasped. These are warnings, the science officer muttered. Messages of what happens to enemies. But how? Another officer whispered. The humans are showing us battles we have never fought. Places we have never seen. The images grew sharper. One showed a Korth warship, their warship, shattering into pieces under a single blast of unknown energy. Another showed their own empire's flag burning in the void. The bridge grew colder. This is impossible, Valak muttered. But his claws dug into the armrest. The voice returned, calm, cold, in their own tongue. Leave. The word hit them like a blade. Short. Absolute. The scarred second in command slammed his fist on the console. Admiral, we cannot be cowards before humans. Give the order, fire! Many eyes turned to the Admiral. His silence stretched. His heart fought between pride and survival. To retreat meant shame. To fight might mean doom. The human ship pulsed again. The heartbeat signal shook the air like thunder in their ears. Ba-dum, louder, faster. The science officer shouted, Admiral, something is happening inside the ship. Energy is building. If we stay, we may not survive. Fear rippled through the crew. Yet the scarred warrior still bared his teeth. If we flee, we prove humans stronger. If we attack, we prove our courage. But before Valak could decide, the human ship moved again. Slowly, its front cannons aligned with the alien fleet. And then, every alien weapon went dead. The screens flashed red. Their cannons shut down. Their targeting vanished. Their shields flickered out. Chaos broke across the bridge. Our systems are frozen. We are blind. Admiral, we cannot fire. The Admiral's blood ran cold. The humans had not fired a shot. They had not moved in anger. Yet the entire fleet now floated helpless, stripped of power. Then across the darkness, the human ship released a final signal, a single sentence that burned itself into their minds: you were warned. And with that, the gray battleship went silent once more, drifting like a ghost in the endless void. The alien fleet remained still, their weapons useless, their pride shattered. For the first time in decades, Admiral Valak felt his empire's strength crumble beneath the shadow of humans. He whispered, barely loud enough for his crew to hear, "We came to break them. But perhaps we have already been broken." The silence of space swallowed his words, but every soul aboard felt the same truth. The warning had been given. The next step would be regret. The first move. The fleet floated in silence. Every alien ship hung powerless. Their weapons dark, their shields useless. The human battleship remained still, its strange heartbeat signal echoing across the void. Admiral Valak sat in his chair, claws tapping against cold metal. His crew looked at him with wide, fearful eyes. None dared speak. None dared move. The warning still rang in their ears. You were warned, yet silence could not hold forever. From the far edge of the fleet, one ship broke formation. A smaller vessel, swift and proud, painted with the red symbols of House Korak, a family known for arrogance and bloodlust. Its captain, Relis, did not fear shadows. His pride burned hotter than reason. "Admiral," shouted the comm officer. "The Korak vessel is moving forward." Valak's chest grew heavy. "What is Relis doing?" The comm officer's voice shook. "He refuses the warning, Admiral. He is charging weapons manually." Gasps spread across the bridge. Manually, it was madness. Without computer systems, a ship's weapons were clumsy, blind, almost useless. But Relis did not care. On the screens, the Korak vessel aimed its cannons at the human ship. Sparks lit its hull as energy forced its way into the weapons. Against all warnings, against the silence, against the fear, Captain Relis prepared to fire. The bridge crew whispered among themselves, "He will doom us all. Humans will strike back. No. Maybe he will prove they are bluffing." Admiral Valak felt the weight of choice press upon him. Should he stop Relis? Should he allow him? A part of him wanted the truth. Were the humans truly this powerful or only clever liars? "Admiral," the science officer said softly, "if Relis fires, we may not survive the answer." Valak closed his eyes. Pride, fear, curiosity, all warred within him. But before he could speak, Relis acted. The alien vessel roared. A blast of energy surged across space, bright and furious. The shot cut through the void, aimed directly at the gray human battleship. The fleet held its breath. The blast struck and vanished, not deflected, not blocked, not absorbed. It simply disappeared, as though space itself had swallowed it whole. No flash, no impact, nothing. The Korak ship fired again. Another beam of energy vanished into nothing. Then again, and again. All 4 cannons spat fire, but the shots were erased the moment they left the barrels. On the bridge of the Admiral's flagship, silence turned to terror. This cannot be. "They are eating the attacks." No, the attacks never existed. Admiral Valak's claws dug into his chair. His heart pounded, but he could not look away. He needed to see. He needed to know. The Korak vessel tried one last desperate strike, a missile fast and deadly. The missile flew straight, flames bright against the darkness. For a heartbeat, some believed it would hit. But just before it reached the human battleship, it froze. The missile stopped in mid-space, hanging like a stone in water. Its fire flickered out. Its body twisted, metal groaning, until it crushed itself into dust. Not a single shard touched the human ship. The fleet was silent once more. Silent and afraid. Then, for the first time, the human battleship moved. Its gray hull shifted like liquid. Plates folded. Cannons aligned. Energy pulsed within its core, glowing brighter and brighter until the void itself seemed alive. The scarred second-in-command whispered, "Now they will strike." But the human ship did not fire at the fleet. It fired at only one. A single flash of light shot forward, silent, clean, swift. The Korak vessel shuddered, then vanished. No explosion. No wreckage. No screams. One moment the ship existed. The next it was gone. The fleet trembled. Thousands of alien eyes widened in terror. One ship, one proud captain, had been erased from existence as if he had never been born. Admiral Valak whispered, "Not destroyed. Removed." The science officer shook, his voice breaking. "Admiral, the sensors show nothing. No debris, no energy trace. The Korak ship has been deleted." The word tasted like poison. Deleted, not killed. Not destroyed, simply erased. On the bridge, fear turned to dread. Then across the comms, the human voice returned. Calm. Cold. One chance was given. One warning was ignored. "Do not test us again." Every officer lowered their eyes. None dared speak. The admiral's chest burned with shame. His empire, so proud, so cruel, so certain of strength, now bowed in silence before a single human ship. But behind his fear, a question gnawed at him. What kind of weapon could do this? What kind of technology could erase ships without leaving a trace? Was it human at all? Or had humans touched something older, darker, more dangerous? The human battleship drifted once more into silence, its hull glowing faintly, its heartbeat signal slowing back to steady rhythm. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. The aliens dared not move. The first move had been made. And the price was more than death. The human surprise. The alien fleet did not speak of the vanished Korak ship. They dared not. One moment it had existed, proud and defiant. The next it was nothing. No fire, no fragments. Not even dust, just gone. Fear clung to every ship like a shadow. Admiral Valak sat stiff in his chair, staring at the gray human battleship. Its faint glow pulsed like a sleeping beast. His claws drummed against the armrest, but his face betrayed nothing. Inside, though, his mind was a storm. He had seen destruction before. He had seen ships torn apart, crushed, burned, but never erased. "Never undone, Admiral," the science officer whispered. "Whatever power they used, it is beyond our records. I cannot measure it. I cannot explain it, and do not try," Valak muttered. His voice was low, sharp. "Some truths are too dangerous." The comm officer spoke carefully, as if afraid of the silence itself. "Admiral, the human ship is moving again." Every head turned. The battleship's surface shifted like water. Hidden hatches opened along its sides. From them, smaller shapes began to emerge. At first the crew thought they were fighters, weapons, a swarm of attack craft. But no, they were something stranger, pods, dark and smooth like eggs made of metal. Dozens of them floated out, spreading slowly across the void. No heat signatures, no visible weapons, just silent black shapes drifting closer to the alien fleet. Whispers filled the bridge. "What are they? Drones? Bombs?" The admiral's second-in-command growled. "They send toys to frighten us," but his voice trembled. The pods drew nearer. The alien ships aimed what weapons they could, but their systems still refused to lock. The pods did not attack. They only drifted, surrounding the fleet in a slow, deliberate pattern. Then the first one lit up. A beam of soft blue light shone from its body, sweeping across the nearest alien warship. The light scanned the hull, moving slowly, carefully, as though peeling away secrets layer by layer. The ship's crew panicked. "We are being scanned. Admiral, it is stripping us open." Valak's chest grew heavy. First their weapons, then their pride, now their secrets. The humans were not only watching, they were learning. One by one, more pods lit up. Blue beams spread across the fleet, crawling over alien ships like searchlights. Every weapon, every engine, every shield system was exposed. The science officer hissed, "Admiral, they are copying us. Every pod is taking data. They will know everything about us, our weaknesses, our strengths, our codes." The admiral's claws tightened on his chair. The humans were not destroying them, not yet. They were doing something far worse. They were preparing. "Destroy them," the second-in-command barked. "Even if we fire manually, we can crush those pods." But before Valak could answer, something happened. One pod finished its scan. Its light blinked 3 times, then the ship it scanned went silent. The alien warship's lights flickered. Its engines died. Its shields collapsed. In less than a breath, the mighty vessel became a floating corpse in the void. Screams rose over comms. What did they do? "They killed our systems."
"We are blind."
"We are dead." The disabled ship drifted helplessly, its crew alive but powerless. Another pod blinked. Another warship died. One by one, the pods were silencing ships, stripping them bare. Admiral Velak's tail lashed in anger. "Enough!" he roared. But even his voice felt weak against the silence of the void. The human ship had not fired a single shot. Not one. Yet already 3 alien vessels were reduced to drifting hulks. The comm officer's voice cracked. "Admiral, the pods are—" Speaking, Velak turned sharply. "What?" the officer swallowed. Listen, a sound filled the bridge. A chorus of whispers, low and steady, speaking in their own tongue. Words that froze the blood of every listener. "We know you. We see you. We own you." The whispers came not from one voice, but from many. Every pod, every drone. The sound slithered into their ears, into their bones. The scarred second-in-command slammed his claws on the console. "They mock us. We cannot allow this." But his words were hollow. No one moved to fight. No one dared. The Admiral's chest tightened. He understood now. The humans were not attacking for victory. They were demonstrating power, showing that at any moment, with a flick of thought, they could end everything. The pods circled back toward the human battleship, forming a dark crown around it. Then they folded into its hull once more, vanishing as if they had never left. The ship pulsed one last time. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. And then it went still. The Admiral leaned back, his voice barely more than a whisper. They could have destroyed us all. Instead, they chose to humiliate us. His second-in-command spat in anger. "Then we must strike, Admiral, before they learn more." But no one supported him. The crew's eyes told another story. They had seen too much. The Admiral looked once more at the silent human vessel. His scales crawled. "This," he said, "is not war. This is a warning written in shadows, and if we are wise, we will listen." Yet even as he spoke, a question burned in his mind. If this was only a warning, what would the humans do when they finally chose to fight? The turn the fleet was broken in spirit. Some ships floated powerless, disabled by the human pods. Others kept their distance, too afraid to move. And at the center of it all, the human battleship remained silent, patient, like a predator waiting for its prey to understand its place. On the flagship, Admiral Velak's scales felt cold against his skin. The silence of his bridge crew was louder than any battle cry. No one dared raise their voice. No one dared meet his eyes. Then the sensors changed. The human ship turned. Slowly, deliberately, its dark gray hull glimmered as if alive. Its cannons rotated, not toward the whole fleet, but toward them, the flagship. The air on the bridge grew heavier. Every officer felt it, the focus of the humans now locked on their vessel. "Admiral," the science officer whispered, "they are choosing us." A chill spread through the room. The largest, most powerful ship in the Empire's fleet, their pride, was now the humans' target. "Shields!" Velak barked. The crew obeyed, fingers flying across controls. But the screens flashed red. Shields failed to activate. The energy systems refused to respond. "They are blocked, Admiral," one officer said, voice trembling. "We are defenseless!" The Admiral clenched his jaw. His second-in-command growled. "Then we fight with what remains. Cannons, missiles, rams, anything." But again, the screen showed nothing. Every weapon was offline, every system silent. The flagship was as helpless as the ships already stripped bare. A low hum began to fill the bridge. The crew froze. The sound wasn't mechanical. It came through the walls, through their bones. Lights flickered. Shadows stretched across metal floors. The science officer's claws shook over his console. "Admiral, they are scanning us." The hum grew louder, deeper, until the crew's teeth rattled. The flagship itself trembled. Screens showed wave after wave of data pouring into the human ship. Then the voices returned. Not a single voice, not a whisper. A chorus, countless tones speaking at once, layered and heavy, impossible to ignore. "We see your weapons. We see your secrets. We see your fear." Officers clutched their heads, some falling to their knees. The voices weren't just sound. They were inside their minds, dragging thoughts to the surface. "Memories, fears, regrets, all laid bare. Admiral!" cried the comm officer. They are inside us." Velak's claws scraped the chair. His heart pounded. He forced his voice steady. "Do not break. They want to see weakness. Do not give it to them." But even he felt his resolve slipping. Images flashed across his thoughts. Not his own memories, but visions. His homeworld burning. His fleet collapsing. His empire bowing before humans, he hissed through his teeth. Illusions. The second-in-command slammed his fist on the console. Enough of this. I will not kneel before ghosts. And then the bridge changed. The lights died. Darkness swallowed the room. For a heartbeat, the crew could not even see each other. Then faint blue light crept in. Holograms filled the air, but these were not their systems. These were human images. The crew stared in horror as the holograms showed the Korth Empire itself, its cities, its ships, its armies, all crumbling into ash, towers collapsing, soldiers screaming, worlds falling silent under invisible fire. The humans were not showing the future, they were promising it. Admiral, the science officer whispered, voice breaking. They are demonstrating what they can do. To all of us, the second-in-command finally broke. His voice rose into a roar. This is sorcery. They are not warriors, they are demons. The Admiral's voice cut sharp. Silence, but even his word felt hollow. The flagship shuddered suddenly. Sparks burst from the ceiling. Consoles flickered and died. Smoke curled into the air. Admiral, an officer screamed. They are inside our ship's core. They are turning us off piece by piece. Engines fell silent. Gravity shifted. Lights dimmed to black. The great flagship of the Korth Empire, once a symbol of power, now drifted like a corpse. The hum faded. The voices went quiet. Then from the comms, the human voice returned. Not many voices this time, just one. Calm. Cold. Final. You cannot fight what you do not understand. The bridge crew sat frozen, breathing heavy in the dark. No one dared move. No one dared speak. Admiral Velak's heart burned with rage, but beneath it, fear. Pure, choking fear. The humans had not fired a single true shot, yet his flagship, his pride, had been turned into a lifeless husk. The Admiral whispered almost to himself, "This is not war. This is domination." His second-in-command leaned closer, voice low, broken. "Then what do we do, Admiral?" "What can we do?" Velak's claws dug deep into the chair. His eyes never left the silent human ship outside. For the first time in his long life, he had no answer. The turn had come, and the Empire was no longer the hunter. The message, the alien flagship drifted in darkness. Systems dead, engines silent. Even the air recycling slowed to a faint whisper. The crew sat in shadows, their scaled faces pale. Fear held them still. They had seen fleets fall before, but never without a fight, never without a shot. Admiral Velak sat rigid in his chair, eyes fixed on the gray human battleship outside. It floated calm, untouched, glowing faintly as if it breathed in the void. The silence ended. A voice filled the bridge. Not through speakers. Not through comms. It came from everywhere at once, through walls, through consoles, through their bones. Korth Empire, listen. Every officer froze. The words were clear, sharp, spoken in their tongue with no error. The Admiral's throat tightened. "Show yourself," he demanded. His voice was strong, but his claws dug into the armrest. The voice replied, calm and slow. "You came to test us. You came to measure our weakness. You have found none." A murmur spread through the crew. The humans were not shouting. They were not angry. That made it worse. Calm enemies were the most dangerous. Velak forced his tone steady. "You speak well for a species that only just learned to build ships." The voice paused. Then came a reply that made every officer's scales crawl. "We learned faster than you thought. Faster than you feared, and now, faster than you can stop." The Admiral's second-in-command snarled, trying to shake off the dread. "Empty words. If you mean to kill us, then kill us. If not, stop this mockery." The voice answered without hesitation. "Death is simple. You deserve more than death." The bridge went silent again. The crew shifted nervously, whispers breaking like cracks in glass. The human voice continued. "We warned you once. You ignored. We erased one ship. We warned again. You ignored. We silenced more. Now you drift in the dark. This is your last chance." The words hung in the air like a blade above their necks. Admiral Velak's chest rose and fell slowly. "And if we do not take this chance?" The voice replied with chilling certainty. "Then the Korth Empire will become a story. A story humans tell their children. A warning of what arrogance brings." Gasps rippled through the crew. Some lowered their heads. Others clutched their seats, eyes wide with fear. The Admiral's pride screamed inside him. His empire was vast, its fleets countless, its armies endless. And yet here they were, silenced by one ship. He leaned forward. "What do you demand of us?" The voice shifted, no longer cold but sharper, like steel pressed to skin. "Leave this sector. Do not cross it again. Carry this message back to your empire. Humans are not prey. We are not weak. And if you seek us again, you will regret more than your ships." The second in command slammed a fist on the console. "Admiral, we cannot bow to this. We are warriors, not cowards." But his words sounded hollow. No one cheered. No one agreed. The crew stared at the human ship outside, and none wanted to challenge it again. The human voice spoke one final time. "Choose, leave, or vanish." Then the bridge went silent. No sound, no hum. Even the heartbeat signal was gone. The humans waited, all eyes turned to Admiral Velak. The weight of decision pressed heavy on his chest. His empire's pride battled against the truth before his eyes. If he ordered retreat, he would live in shame. If he fought, he might not live at all. The second in command snarled, voice raw. "Admiral, we must attack. If we fall with honor." The admiral turned his eyes on him, cold, sharp, final. "And if we fall, no one will remain to carry honor home. The humans will erase even the memory of us." The scarred warrior fell silent. Velak rose slowly from his chair. His voice cut through the fear, low and steady. "Signal the fleet." "We retreat," the crew gasped, some with relief, others with shame. But none dared argue. The admiral added, "And let no one speak of this lightly. The humans showed us mercy once. If we forget, there will be no second mercy." The comm officer nodded quickly, relaying the order. Across the fleet, ships shifted course, their engines flickering weakly back to life. The human battleship did not move. It only watched as the Empire's fleet turned away, broken in spirit. Admiral Velak gave the final command. "Take us home." And in silence, the Korth fleet retreated into the void. On the empty bridge, Velak whispered to himself, too soft for any to hear, "This is not victory. This is survival." The regret the alien fleet turned away. Engines lit, hulls trembling, pride broken. They moved slowly like wounded beasts, carrying shame into the darkness of space. Admiral Velak stood tall on his bridge, though his chest felt heavy. His order had been given, retreat. Live to warn the Empire, live to carry the message, but not everyone accepted his choice. At the rear of the formation, one ship held back. Its captain, young and arrogant, could not bear the weight of humiliation. His name was Koresh, blood of House Talon, a house that valued honor above survival. He watched the fleet drift away. He watched the human battleship remain silent still, watching them like a predator that had already won. And his pride burned. "No," Koresh muttered. His crew looked at him with wide eyes, but none dared speak. "We are Korth," he growled louder. "We do not flee from prey. We do not bow to cattle. If the Admiral has lost his courage, then I will remind the humans who we are." The ship trembled as he forced the weapons online. Systems were still unstable, but Koresh did not care. He overrode every safety, every lock. Sparks flew from the consoles, but his cannons hummed with life. On the flagship, alarms screamed. The comm officer cried out, "Admiral! The Talon vessel is breaking formation. They are charging weapons." Velak's heart sank. "No, Admiral, they are targeting the human ship." The Admiral's claws clenched. His voice rose sharp. "Signal them! Order them to stop!" But the order came too late. Captain Koresh roared, "For the Empire!" and fired. A storm of plasma lit the void, racing toward the silent human battleship. The flames painted the darkness with fury. For a moment, some on the fleet dared to hope. For a moment, they believed Koresh might succeed. But the hope lasted only a breath. The plasma bolts struck and vanished. Swallowed whole, erased from existence just like before. Then the human ship moved. Not slowly, not calmly. This time it acted with purpose. The gray hull shifted, glowing brighter, alive with terrible energy. The heartbeat signal thundered again, but faster, louder, like war drums shaking the void. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. The alien crews trembled. They had seen this rhythm before. They knew what followed. The Talon vessel's crew shouted in panic. Systems failed. Shields collapsed. The ship froze helpless, caught in an unseen grip. Captain Koresh screamed at his controls, but nothing obeyed. The human battleship released its light, silent, clean, absolute. The Talon vessel did not explode. It did not burn. It simply ceased to exist. One instant there was a ship. The next, there was only empty space, no wreckage. No trace erased. Gasps filled the alien fleet. Fear gripped every soul. The memory of the Korak ship's erasure returned, sharper than ever. This was no accident. This was judgment. And then the human voice spoke again. This was your choice. This is your regret. The words cut deeper than any blade. Admiral Velak closed his eyes. His heart ached, not only with fear but with grief. He had tried to save his fleet, to carry the warning home. But arrogance had cost them more. The humans could have destroyed them all, yet they did not. They struck only at those who defied. Mercy and wrath balanced in perfect control. That was more terrifying than destruction. The fleet said nothing more. No one dared. In silence, they turned fully away and fled into the void, their engines burning with desperate speed. The human battleship did not follow. It did not chase. It only drifted back into the shadows, fading slowly until it was nothing more than a ghost in the endless dark. Weeks later, the story spread across the empire, whispers first, then rumors, then fearful truth. They called it the silent battleship, a single human vessel that erased ships without fire, that spoke in alien tongues. That humiliated the Empire's greatest fleet and let it live, not from weakness but from choice. Some said it was not human at all, but a weapon of gods the humans had awakened. Others claimed it was alive, a machine with a soul. But all agreed on one thing: humans were no longer weak. Where once the Empire saw cattle, now they saw hunters. Where once they saw prey, now they saw a rival that could shatter them without lifting a hand. And in the halls of power, fear grew, for if this was only one ship, what else were the humans hiding? Admiral Velak spoke only once of what he saw. In council, with leaders demanding answers, he said, "You ask me what humans are. I will tell you. They are the shadow at our door. They are the silence before the storm. They are the enemy we will regret provoking." And when they asked if he would fight them again, he did not hesitate. No. To fight them is not war. It is erasure. The legend of the silent battleship spread beyond the Empire. Other species heard it. Traitors whispered it. Soldiers feared it. And humans. Humans remained silent. They did not deny. They did not explain. They only waited. And the galaxy understood. The next time someone tested them, there would be no warning, only regret.